Okay, good morning all. In last lecture, we have seen that what is timestamp based protocol. We have multiple transaction. Whenever transaction enters into the system, at that time, whatever timestamp is there, we are noting down that timestamp, and according to that, we will proceed further as per the rule. We have seen here what is write timestamp and read timestamp on data item Q. That means if we have a data item Q, it will be write by transaction T4, then whatever the entry time for transaction T4 into the system will note down as write timestamp of Q. Read timestamp of Q, that means if we have a data item Q and it will be readed by first transaction T1, T1 enters into the system at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. So it will be noted down 5. After that, transaction T5 come and it will become in the system at 10 o'clock. So the read timestamp will be updated with 10. So read timestamp, that doesn't mean which transaction is read the data item Q on which time. No, it is not like that. Read means which transaction has read the data item and will note down that that particular transaction who read the data item Q, their entry point or entry timestamp into the system. This we have seen in the last lecture. These are the rules. And then we are going for Thomas Wright rule. It is nothing but just we need to ignore, like if we have some instruction like write, and we need not to be roll back as per the timestamp ordering protocol, but we are just ignoring that one instruction write and we'll move further. Okay. We have seen till this, and now we are going to start with the new topic, which is deadlock. Okay, we know that what is deadlock. We'll take one a simple example, like we have two data items, data item A and data item B. Suppose we have two transactions too, transaction T1 and transaction T2. First, transaction T1 has requested for data item A and it is acquired a lock on data item A. So data item A is now having a lock acquired by transaction T1. Same way, data item B is locked by transaction T2. Now transaction T1 also wants that data item B should be locked, and transaction T2 wants that data item A should be locked. This is one scenario when transaction T1 as well as T2 wants both the data items to complete the transaction. But one of the transaction has been acquired, one of the data item, like transaction T1 is having A and it is waiting for B. Transaction T2 is having B and it is waiting for A. And T1 and T2 both are dependent on each other. Like T1 is waiting for T2 and T2 is waiting for T1. So both of them are waiting for each other to release the data item so that they can proceed with their transaction execution. But none of them has released any kind of lock into individual data item. Like transaction T1 wants B, but it does not release A. Transaction T2 wants A, but it does not release data item B. So none of the transaction T1 or T2 can proceed further or can normally be executed, and that's why we can say here is a deadlock when no any transaction can continue with their normal execution. They are just waiting for each other, and there is a situation where no one can proceed further. So this is the scenario of deadlock. System is in deadlock state if there exists a set of transactions such that every transaction in the set is waiting for another transaction in the set. As we have discussed, transaction T1 and T2, this is a set of transaction, and T1 is waiting for T2 is waiting for T1 to release the lock on the data item. So such that every transaction in the set is waiting for another transaction in the set. Okay, now we are taking an example of more than two transactions. So suppose we are having a set of waiting transaction like T0, T1 up to Tn. We have number of transactions such that T0 transaction is waiting for a data item that is acquired by transaction T1. Transaction T1 is waiting for the data item which is acquired by T2 and so on. Okay, so it will be having this form. The first one is transaction T0. T0 have some data item, but to complete the entire execution, it requires one data item which is available at T1. So T0 is requesting to T1 that I want this data item which you have acquired, like suppose data item A. Now, T1 is having data item A, but it is waiting for data item B, which is acquired by transaction T2. So T1 is requesting T2 that I already have A, but I'm waiting for B. So if you can release the data item B, then I can go with my execution. T2 is having this data item B, but it is waiting for C, which is acquired by T3. Like that, transaction Tn minus 1 is having data item Y and it is waiting for data item Z, which is acquired by Tn. And Tn is waiting for the data item like here X, which is acquired by T0. So that here it will be a cycle. None of the transaction from T0, T1, T2, T3 up to Tn can move further or execute the normal execution because everyone has some data item and they are waiting for some other resources. So if T2 here releases the lock on B, so T1 can complete the task. If T1 complete the task, then this resource is again free, then T0 complete the task and so on. Rest of the transaction can complete their task. But here the situation is no one is wanting to release the lock on the data item which they have previously acquired and they are waiting for some other resources and it will make this situation as a deadlock situation. Okay. Everyone, are you getting this concept? Two or three students reply quickly in the chat box. Okay. None of the transaction can make progress in such a situation. Okay. So the only remedy to this undesirable situation is for the system to invoke some drastic action, such as rolling back of some of the transaction involved in the deadlock. Like previously, as we have seen, we are talking about just two transactions here, T1 and T2. T1 is having A and is waiting for B. T2 is having B and waiting for A. Suppose here I say like T2 needs to be rolled back. So previously, whenever T2 have acquired a lock on data item B, we are going to roll back this transaction. So now data item B is free. So T2 is no more. So data item B is free. And that's why T1 can have both the data items. T1 can complete the task and unlocking these two data items. T2 again start with the task. And now T2 also have both of the data item free. So It may possible, like if we are reaching in this deadlock situation, so we can do rollback of some of the transaction which are included in this deadlock, so that we have one solution where each and every transaction can complete their entire execution. Rollback of a transaction may be partial. What does it mean? If we have a multiple instruction, like in the previous one we have seen, we have rollback the transaction T2. So here T2 have done some work. After that, here it is applying the lock, which is exclusive lock on data item B. We will done some read and write operations. Again, it wants to acquire a lock on data item A. And now for A, it is in the waiting state. So I'm writing just W for waiting state. So this is the scenario. T2 has granted lock for data item B, and it is waiting for data item A, like that. Okay. So if I want to say that roll back, that doesn't mean we need to roll back the entire thing like this. No, we are not going to start it from the beginning or from the scratch. What we are doing, whenever we are having a problem, we have problem because if we have T1 also, अगर हमारे पास T1 भी है, उसने A लॉक को acquire किया है और B के लिए वेट कर रही है, और हमें किसी भी एक ट्रांजैक्शन को रोल बैक करना है, सपोज हम T2 को करेंगे, इन दिस केस हमें कितना पीछे जाना है, सिर्फ यहां तक ही जहां पे उसने बी डेटा आइटम को लॉक किया है. अगर हम इतना ही पीछे जाएंगे, फिर भी इट इज क्वाइट ओके फॉर आवर केस. Okay, so the partial rollbacking, that means we are not rollback the entire transaction and next time the transaction need to start from the first instruction itself. No, it is not the case. Partial means whenever we are having a problem, we are going only towards that. Like if you want to come at Marwadi College, you know that from Madhapur Chokri there are three possibilities, three roads. And now, if instead of going into straight way, you are going left side, you reach at Ghanteshwar Park and you know that this is the wrong path. So you need not to be go till your home again. You know that from Madhapur circle you are having three possibilities. So you are going till the Madhapur Chokri itself, not going for home. The same way, this is a partial rollback. When you are facing the problem, you are not starting from the first instruction itself. You are going through the instruction from where you are getting the problem. Okay. So that is a transaction may be rolled back to the point where it obtained a lock whose release resolves the deadlock. There are two principal methods for dealing with the deadlock problem. The first one is deadlock prevention and the second one is deadlock detection and recovery. Okay, so there are two principal methods. One is deadlock prevention and the other one is detection and recovery. As we know, prevent means we are thinking like if we want to prevent from COVID-19 disease, so we are having some home remedies like steam vaporization or haldi wala doodh, like that. So we are preventing, like whenever we are not infected with COVID-19, we are making some prevention. This is called prevention. And if we are having this COVID, then it will be detected and recovered. So there are two ways to deal with this. The same way, deadlock prevention protocol to ensure that the system will never enter into a deadlock state. Like we are thinking, if we are taking these home remedies so that we are not getting infected by this coronavirus, the same way deadlock prevention technique is, if we are ensuring that these techniques will be fulfilled, then system will never go into the deadlock state. And the other way, suppose if we are in the deadlock now, if we are entering into the deadlock state, then what we need to do? First, we need to detect, yes, this is a deadlock situation. And then we have some strategies, some protocols to recover from this system. So we have two main approach, deadlock prevention, and the other one is deadlock detection and deadlock recovery. We are having this two transaction T1 and T2. T1 wants to write first on data item X and then on data item Y. T2 transaction want to write first on data item Y and then data item X. So the schedule, we have two transactions T1 and T2. T1 wants to write on X, so it will acquire the lock, exclusive lock, because it wants to write on data item X, then writing on data item X. After that, T2 wants to write on data item Y. So here T1 has applied the lock on X. T2 has applied the lock on Y. Has write on Y. Now T2 wants to write on X, but it is acquired by T1, so T2 needs to wait. So it is requested and waited for lock, exclusive lock on data item X. The same way, the last instruction of T1, which is write Y. So T1 transaction wants to write on data item Y, but it is already acquired a lock by transaction T2. So T1 is also waiting for the lock. So both of them are waiting for each other. T1 is waiting for T2 and T2 is waiting for T1. So it creates one cycle. That means both are dependent on each other. They are not going to execute a normal execution, which means it is a deadlock. System is deadlocked if there is a set of transactions such that every transaction in the set is waiting for another transaction in the set. Deadlock prevention. Now we are having some scheme, some strategy, so that we can ensure like this deadlock scenario will not happen in the system. So deadlock prevention protocol ensures that the system will never enter into a deadlock state. And some prevention strategies are, the first one, it requires that each transaction lock all its data item before it begins execution. So suppose transaction T1 is there and T1 wants to write on both the data item X and Y. So at the starting of the transaction itself, it will acquire a lock on both the data items instead of any one of them. So pre-declaration, transaction T1 pre-declare that in the entire execution of my transaction, I require this two data item. So rest of the transaction will be waiting. And there will be no such scenario like we have one data item waiting for another and we are in the waiting state itself. The second possibility is impose a partial ordering of all data items and require that a transaction can lock data items only in the order specified by the partial order. Okay, so we are following here the graph-based protocol. Like in that, if it is given like, suppose this is a T1 transaction, and after that here we are having T2 transaction. That means T1 should be occurred before T2. So T1 has first priority to having the data item X and Y, and after that T2 will have the priority to acquire a lock on data item XY. So we are following graph-based protocol, and according to graph, who is having the highest precedence, we are giving the data item access to those, and we are having partial ordering. Like we are not having a perfect ordering, but partially we can solve this issue by using the proper sequence. Okay. But this cannot be possible, like the transaction itself cannot have the idea, like if transaction T1 has 30 lines of instructions, that it doesn't know that previously how many lines is having which data item, and how to declare all the data items locked previously. So we are having now some more deadlock prevention strategy which can be implemented. Following schemes use transaction timestamp for the sake of deadlock prevention alone. The one is wait die scheme. Okay, what does it mean? Non-preemptive. First we'll see what is preemptive and non-preemptive. Preemptive is like two transaction is there, transaction T1 and T2. T1 is having A, we are taking the same simple example, and T2 is having B. A is acquired by T1, B is acquired by T2. T1 is waiting for this. So, preemptive means if T1 transaction wants to acquire data item B, so it will preempt it. Preempt it forcefully taken from B. Transaction T1 wants that I want data item B, so it will be taking forcefully data item B from transaction T2. It is called preemptive. But this wait die scheme means non-preemptive, and non-preemptive means we are not taking forcefully from any of the transaction. We are waiting for our time, and when we are having our chance, we will consume that data item like that. So the one is wait die scheme, non-preemptive. The first method, older transaction may wait for younger one to release the data item. Okay, what does this first statement means? Suppose we are having two transactions, T1 and T2, and we are thinking that transaction T1 enters into the system at 1 p.m. and transaction T2 enters into the system at 5 p.m. So we know that this transaction T1 is the older because it is a senior one, and this is a junior or the younger. Okay, senior and junior we are writing in this manner. Okay. So if both of them wants to acquire a lock on the same data item, like data item X, and T2 has already acquired it, T2 has already make a lock on data item X, and if T1 wants to have the same data item, so the older transaction may wait for younger one to release the data item. So here T1 transaction waiting for transaction T2 to release the lock. Till then T1 transaction wait for the same. And the second statement, younger transaction never wait for older ones. They are rolled back instead. That means we have in system one more transaction T3, which comes in the system at 8 p.m. Okay. And now this is a super senior, this is a senior, and this is a junior. If we are comparing this two, if we are comparing T2 transaction and T3 transaction, then this is a senior and this is a junior. Okay. So the younger one, the junior one will never wait for the senior one. So if T3 now wants to acquire a lock on data item X, so T3 need not to be wait, it will be rolled back. It will be rolled back, and as this is a senior, it needs to wait. Okay, so we are having one general scenario. If we are having three transaction T1, T2 and T3, T1 is the senior one, T2 the intermediate, and T3 is the junior one. Okay. So now T2 has acquired a lock on data item X. If T1, that means the senior one, we are comparing only two of the transaction at any time. Suppose we are comparing here is transaction T1 and T2. So if transaction T1 now wants to acquire a lock, so T1 needs to wait. And if T3 wants to acquire a lock, then T3 will never going to be wait. It will be just roll back. As you can see here, wait die. So wait is for senior and die is for junior. So if you are older transaction, then you need to wait for some time, because as you are older, transaction T1 has entered in the system at 1 p.m. So it may possible till this 5 p.m. it has done some amount of work. So if transaction T1 will be rolled back, so all the tasks need to be done again. So that if it is a older, if it has completed some amount of work, then this older transaction need to wait. But if this is a new transaction, this is a junior one, so it has not completed the work as compared to the older one. If T3 is compared with T2, then T2 has completed more work and T3 has completed less work. So T3 has not to be wait, it needs to be rolled back. Okay, this is a simple, we are taking a simple example, like whenever we are having any of the youth fest. So seniors are having more probability to be a coordinator, like event coordinator, because they have completed 3 years, 4 years span in the college, and now they are completed with their BE education. But if you are in the first semester itself, and if you have requested for becoming an event coordinator, so you are having a less probability, because you are also having 3 more years to become an event coordinator. But the senior who are having the last chance, they are having the first precedence. The same way, the older one will be waiting, and the junior one, the younger one, will be dying. Okay. A transaction may die several times before acquiring a needed item. In the previous example which we have seen, transaction T3. Suppose T3 has requested for X, so T3 needs to be rolled back. After some time, T3 again tried and T2 has already acquired it. So T3 again need to be rolled back. So a transaction T3, like that transaction, may die several times before they acquiring a lock on the particular data item. The wait die scheme is a non-preemptive technique. Here we are not preemptive. We are not forcefully taking any data item from any transaction. So the senior transaction is not forcefully taking. They are just waiting for their turn. So the wait die scheme is a non-preemptive technique. When transaction Ti requests a data item currently held by Tj, then Ti is allowed to wait only if it has a timestamp smaller than Tj. Ti is having a smaller timestamp than Tj. So Ti will be the senior and Tj will be the junior. So that Ti will be waiting. Otherwise means if this will not the case, that means Ti is not smaller, and if Ti is having higher value as compared to Tj, then it will be rollback. Okay. For example, suppose that transaction T20 through 23 and 24 having timestamp 5, 10 and 15. I am writing here the timestamp. For T2 it will be 5, for T23 it will be 10, and T24 it will be 15. So as you can see, T22 is the senior, T23 is junior, and this is a T24, it is the most junior one. If T22 requests a data item which is now held by T23, then T22 is older, so he will wait. And if T24 requests for the same data item which is acquired by T23, then T24 will be rolled back. So you can remember it this way. The first word, it is for senior, it is for older one, and the last word, it is for younger or the junior. So older or senior will wait, and younger and junior will be die, and die means roll back. It will be killed, and the transaction again need to be started. Okay, everyone is clear with this? What is wait and die scheme? Everyone, okay, good. The next scheme is the bound wait scheme, which is a preemptive scheme. That means now here the transaction will taking the data item forcefully from other transaction. Older transaction bounds means forces rollback of younger transaction instead of waiting for it. And the younger transaction may wait for older ones. Maybe fewer rollbacks than wait and die scheme. The previous one, wait and die, if we are having some rollbacks, then as compared to that scheme, in bound and wait, we are having few rollbacks. Okay, here we'll understand. The wound wait scheme is a preemptive technique. It is a counterpart to the wait and die scheme. When transaction Ti requests a data item which is currently held by Tj. Okay, here we are having transaction Tj, transaction Ti. Okay, suppose the data item X, which is currently held by transaction Tj, and Ti waiting for this data item. Okay. Ti is allowed to wait only if it has a larger timestamp. So suppose Ti is having the timestamp 5 and Tj is having a timestamp 1. Only then now Ti will be waiting. So if Ti is junior, if Ti is younger, only then it will be waiting. Otherwise, Tj is rollback. Otherwise, this Tj needs to be rolled back. Okay, we are taking a simple example, the same way which we have taken in the previous one. We have three transactions, T22, 23, and 24. We know that T22 will be the highest one, having 5, 10, and 15 timestamp. If T22 requests a data item which is held by T23, then the data item will be preempted from T23. So wound means preemption, taking forcefully. So if T23 requests a data item held by T23, then the data item will be preempted from that and T23 will be rolled back. Just a minute. We are having three transactions. We are just talking here about T22 and 23. T23 already has data item X acquired and T22 requested for the same. Now if T22 is the younger one, if T22 is the older one and it is requested for the data item X which is held by T23, then a data item will be preempted. So the data item will be preempted from this. So now T23 is not acquired and T23 will be rolled back. Okay, so T23 needs to be rolled back. So I am just deleting it out. We have already killed that and it will be rolled back. Suppose T24 request a data item. Now we are thinking for this two scenario, T23 and 24. So if T23 is having this data item X and T24 has requesting for this, then T24 needs to wait. So again, the first one, the wound one is for senior or older and wait is for younger or junior. So if you are senior or you are older, then you need to wound. That means you are older, you are senior, so you are taking forcefully the data item which you want, and the junior one as compared to the senior. Whoever is the junior, in this case, T23 is a senior, T22 is a senior, and T23 is a junior. So T22 wants data item X, so it will be forcefully taken from 23, and 23 needs to be rolled back. But if it is a scenario between T23 and 24, so 23 will be senior and 24 is junior. So T24, if it will be requesting, so it needs to wait. Okay, so this is a wound wait scheme which is a preemptive in nature. All of you, are you aware regarding this? Everyone is clear with the concept? Okay. So in the previous one, we need to remember these two things. The first one, whatever will be the first keyword, it is always for older or senior. And the second word, it is always for younger or junior. So here, if you are a senior, you need to wait. And if you are junior, you need to roll back. And in this, if you are a senior, you will forcefully take the data item, and whoever is the junior will be rolled back. And if you are junior, then you need to wait. Whenever the system rollbacks transaction, it is important to ensure that there is no starvation. Starvation means every time the same transaction is going into the rollback, and it is for infinite time. Like each and every time, the same transaction is waiting, and it has some infinite time for waiting. So it is called starvation. So we need to ensure that any of the transaction will not facing this problem. Starvation is no transaction gets rolled back repeatedly and is never allowed to make a progress. Suppose we are having T1 and T2. So whenever both of them wants the same data item, always T1 is having the priority. So T2 needs to roll back for data item X. Now suppose we are talking about data item Y. Again T1 has acquired, T2 needs to roll back. Z, again T1 has acquired, T2 needs to roll back. So each and every time the same transaction need to wait, or it needs to be rolled back. So it will never make a progress in T2's instruction execution. So it is called starvation. So we need to also think that starvation will not be a problem here. Both this scheme, bound wait and the wait tie scheme, avoid the starvation, because at any time there is a transaction with the smallest timestamp, this transaction cannot be required to roll back in either scheme. One more thing we need to take care here is, whenever we are taking or thinking regarding the rollback, it is not like that, like it will be rollback and again the same transaction will come with new timestamp. No, the timestamp will be same. They are just not having the grant for acquiring the stock. The timestamp will not change. Like whenever T23 is rolled back in, then also the timestamp for T23 will be 10 because it entered into the system at 10 o'clock. The transaction is not able to complete the task. It's fine. They are just rollbacking. It is a partial rollback. So timestamp's original value will not get affected. Since the timestamp always increases, and since transactions are not assigned new timestamp when they are rolled back, a transaction that is rolled back repeatedly will eventually have the smallest timestamp, at which point it will not be rolled back again. Okay. That means if we are having transaction T1, T2, T3, and the timestamp for all of this is 5, 10, and 15. Okay. Now, as per this wait and die scheme, whoever is the junior, like T3 is junior, so T3 needs to roll back. So T3 has rolled back. Suppose next time for any other data item, again T3 will roll back, but the timestamp will not get changed. So at any point of time, whenever T4 enters into the system, which is having the highest precedence, which is having the highest timestamp, so here whenever T3 is compared with T4, T3 is having the smallest timestamp, so it will be the turn before timestamp T4. ओके, सो अगर हम किसी का टाइम स्टैम्प वापस चेंज नहीं कर रहे हैं तो क्या होगा कि कोई भी नया ट्रांजैक्शन जब सिस्टम में एंटर करेगा उससे तो उसका टाइम स्टैम्प कम ही होगा. So it will not for an infinite waiting time. After some amount of time, transaction will get the turn. So it will not having the situation like starvation. Both in wait time, bound wait, a rollback transaction is restarted with its original timestamp. Like if we have rolled back the transaction T3, then also it will not like that the previously timestamp is 15 and now it is 25. No, it is again going, it will again entering with the same timestamp which is 15. Older transaction does have precedence over the newer ones. That means the senior one is having the highest priority as per the newer one. And this is how the starvation is avoided. Because like in your 4 year of B course, if you are having senior is having the highest priority to become an event coordinator, so there will be a time after 2 years or 2.5 years, you are becoming the senior and you are having the time for becoming a event coordinator. But it is not like you are waiting for your 4 years of engineering life and you are not getting even one time as an event coordinator. So no starvation is here. Whoever is senior is getting the highest precedence as per the junior one. Timeout based scheme, a transaction waits for a lock only for a specified amount of time. If any transaction is there, it is just waiting for some amount and then it will be rolled back. Thus, deadlock are not possible and starvation can possible in just any of the case, like wound and wait like that. But it will difficult to determine good value of the timeout interval. Like we need to think for if 10 seconds I am not getting a response, then I need to roll back. So to define this value, it is a difficult task. Okay, we know how to prevent the deadlock. If we are following these two schemes, then deadlock will not occur for sure. But if we are not doing for the same, and if deadlock will happen, then how to detect that? Deadlocks can be described as wait for graph, which consists, graph means vertices, that means nodes, and the edges which will connect those nodes. This is called vertices, and this is called edges. Okay, so V is a set of vertices and E is a set of edges. If I am writing transaction Ti to transaction Tj, that simply means that Ti is waiting for transaction Tj to release a data item. I can write here like this, T1 to T2. If T2 is having data item B and T1 is waiting for this B, that means T1 is requested data item from T2, and once T2 will release this B, T1 can complete the task. When Ti requests the data item currently being held by Tj, then age from Ti to Tj is inserted as we have seen here like this. This age is removed only when Tj is no longer holding a data item. Like Ti is requested for data item B. If Ti is requesting for data item B, then when can we remove this age? Only when B data item is free and Ti can able to use it. System in deadlock state if and only if this graph has a cycle. Remember this thing, if in this graph we are having a cycle, that means deadlock is there. So it will must invoke the deadlock detection algorithm periodically to look for the cycle. As you can see here, T25 needs two data item A and B. T26 needs data item C, which is held by T28. T27 also requires data item E, but cycle is not formed. So we can say that without a cycle and in this state, no deadlock is there. But if you can observe here, here we are having a cycle. Okay. So we can say that the second transaction which is marked, it is a deadlock. So this is how we can detect a deadlock and how to recover that. Once we are detecting that, then we are going for selection of a victim. Victim means the transaction which needs to be rolled back. हम कोई ऐसा ट्रांजैक्शन आइडेंटिफाई करेंगे जिसको रोल बैक कराएंगे तो डेडलॉक की जो सिचुएशन है वो ठीक हो जाएगी. So the selection of the victim, how to select it? Some transaction will have to be rolled back to break the lockdown. So to break the deadlock, sorry. Select the transaction as a victim that will incur minimum cost. Okay. अगर हमारे पास multiple transaction है तो हमें कौन सा transaction को roll back कराना है? It is the major question. So for that, we'll go for that transaction will be having the minimum cost. Okay. So how to identify the cost of each and every transaction? Unfortunately, the term minimum cost is not the precise one. There can be multiple factors according to which we can identify the cost of a rollback. For example, how long the transaction has computed and how much longer the transaction will compute before it completes its designated task. Okay. That means अब तक वो ट्रांजैक्शन कितना खत्म हो चुका है और आगे जाके कितना हमें कंप्लीट करना है. So the entire transaction will get over. They are having 30 instruction and transaction has completed till 27th instruction and just 3 instructions are left. तो हम उसको रोल बैक नहीं कराएंगे. Otherwise, we need to go for the entire execution again. The other factor can be how many data items the transaction has used. Suppose मान लो एक transaction जिसने 5 data item को acquire करके रखा है और उसकी वजह से 5-6 transaction wait mode में है और अगर ये एक ही transaction को हम roll back कराएं तो 5 data item free हो जाएगी और सारी transaction अपना काम खत्म कर पाएंगे. So this can be other factor. The third one is how many more data items the transaction needs for it to complete. मान लो किसी data item ने अभी 2 ही data item पर lock acquire किया है, but complete the entire execution it requires 4 more data items to be in use. So अगर 4 और नहीं दे सकते तो ये जो 2 उसके पास है उसका लॉक है उसको वापस ले लो ताकि 2 डेटा आइटम कोई और यूज करे और उसका ट्रांजैक्शन कंप्लीट हो जाए. हाउ मेनी ट्रांजैक्शन विल बी इन्वॉल्व इन द रोल बैक? अगर हमें रोल बैक करना है तो कितने ट्रांजैक्शन रोल बैक करेंगे तो ये डेडलॉक की सिचुएशन खत्म हो जाएगी. So it will be having different factors which will be more suitable. We can choose the same. Rollback means to determine how far to roll back. We are not going to roll back the entire transaction. If they are having 30 instruction, first 10 instruction is just of read and write. It has not acquired any lock or lock is not being having the problem till 10th instruction. So we are roll backing to the up till the 11th instructions. Total rollback, that means abort that transaction and restart it. So it will be starting from the initial first instruction itself. More effective to roll back transaction only as far as necessary. अगर 10 इंस्ट्रक्शन ठीक से काम कर रही है वहां तक जरूरत नहीं है, 11 इंस्ट्रक्शन से ही रोल बैक उतना ही रोल बैक करेंगे, वापस पहले इंस्ट्रक्शन तक नहीं जाएंगे. It is called partial rollback. Such partial rollback requires the system to maintain additional information about the state of all the running transactions. So we need to have the state, like how many data items has been released, how much work has been completed, we need to start from which instruction, all this information. Specifically, the sequence of lock requests or grant and updates performed by the transaction needs to be recorded. Like how much lock has been requested, among them how much has been granted, and do they have made the system update, like the value has been updated previously, should we also need to roll back then? So we all need to be, these all things need to be taken care. The deadlock detection mechanism should decide which locks the selected transaction need to release in order to break the deadlock. हमारे पास बहुत सारे ट्रांजैक्शन है और अगर हमें किसी को रिलीज करना है लॉक, तो हम कोई एक या दो ट्रांजैक्शन, मल्टीपल ट्रांजैक्शन वी आर चूजिंग एज अ विक्टिम एंड विल बी rollbacking those transactions so we can back this dead. The selected transaction which needs to be which needs to be rolled back to the point where it obtained the first of this lock. If we are having 4 data items and we are going for rollback, so हमें कहां तक जाना है, जब तक कि फर्स्ट लॉक इसने अक्वायर किया था तब तक हम सारे ही इंस्ट्रक्शन को रोल बैक करेंगे. Starvation happens if same transaction is always chosen as the victim. Like transaction T3, we are always making transaction T3 as rollbacking, so will be starvation. So instead of that, what we can do is we can choose different transaction if possible, so starvation will not be happen. Okay. So I'm not saying that deadlock prevention is better or detection and recovery is better. It is differ case by case. Suppose detection, we need to apply or implement some protocols, so it will never go into the deadlock state. It will be costlier. So whenever we are dealing with some sensitive points like banking or like military data or whatever, which is very much sensitive, at that time we are not feeling like 2 घंटे या 3 घंटे के लिए अगर डेटाबेस डेडलॉक में चला गया तो 2 घंटे के लिए कोई भी ट्रांजैक्शन नहीं कर पाएगा. 2 घंटे आर्मी में कोई भी एक दूसरे को मैसेज सेंड नहीं कर पाएगा. वी आर नॉट थिंकिंग, इट इज नॉट फिजिबल. सो अगर कोई ऐसी जगह है जहां पे life, money, these all things matters. So at that place, we are putting deadlock prevention. We are putting these protocols, which will costlier, but it will be easier. Like in the future, deadlock will never happen. But अगर कोई ऐसी जगह है कि जहां पे डेडलॉक होने की पॉसिबिलिटी बहुत कम है, इट इज हैविंग द लेस चांसेस टू बी हैविंग द डेडलॉक. सो ऐसी जगह और जहां पे हम लोग वेट भी कर सकते हैं, सिस्टम विल बी स्टक फॉर सम टाइम, वहां पे हम जो कर सकते हैं डेडलॉक डिटेक्शन एंड रिकवरी, कि डेडलॉक को एक बार आने दो, फिर हम लोग देखेंगे कि उसको डिटेक्ट करेंगे और फिर उसको रिकवर करने के लिए ट्राई करेंगे. ओके, सो बोथ ऑफ देम आर गुड एट देयर प्लेसेस. वी कैन नॉट से विच वन इज द गुड. Correctness of timestamp ordering protocol. We have done with this timestamp ordering protocol. The timestamp ordering protocol guarantees serializability since all the arcs in the precedence graph are of the form like this. If we are having transaction T1, which is having smaller timestamp, and transaction T2, which is having larger timestamp, that means T1 will be having timestamp 1, T2 is having timestamp 5. That simply means that T1 is the senior one as compared to T2. Thus, there will be no cycle, like who will done the first task, whoever is having the seniority. So precedence will be, this task will be done first and only after that transaction T2 will occur with the task. So timestamp protocol ensures the freedom from deadlock as no transaction will be ever waiting, but the schedule may not be cascade free and may not be even recoverable. We know that cascade free and recoverable, these two terms we have already studied. Non-recoverable means if we are having this T2 and T1, two transaction, T1 has updated some items like here, and T2 has read the same item and commit here. T2 is complete, but after some of the time here T1 is having the system failure, so it needs to be rolled back. So this value which from which T2 has taken the reference will never exist, and now T2 is not able to recover also. So it is called non-recoverable schedule, which we have seen. Okay. So today the major part, the important one we have covered is deadlock. Okay. Do anyone have any query? Do anyone have any query in today's session? Okay. So I'm taking your attendance. Okay. Riya, Himangi, Shyam, Kirtan, Krupal, Kunal, Awadh, Nancy, Vaibhav, Kushal, Akanksha, Forum, Dhwani, Dakshaben, Janvi, Harshit, Mahir, Parth, Urvashi, Kumarpal, Rahul, Bhavik, Pooja, Pal, Rutvi, Rutiben, Akshay, Akash, Ahmad, Sachin, Chinmay, Dhairya, Milan, Hitesh, Hina, Chirag, Vensi, Kamalraj, Astha, Kamalraj is not there, Shelvi, Jaikishan, Hiren, Naresh, Una. Yes, Chirag, I have marked you present. Okay, Yatish is also present. Mohib Hussain, Krish, Nishi, Kushal, Umang, Parth, Kartik, Deep, Purvisha, Mihir, Nirali, Sharad, Rahul, Shreya, Krishna, Milan, Sunil, Harsh, Yash, Diksha, Zenith, Varun, Stuti. Absentees for today is Milan Sudhitra, Mihir Ramolia, Deep Radhanpura, Naresh Kinsuria, Akshay,
Ma'am present.
Rakshabin Mukaria. Who is present? Give your name.
Akshay Akbari.
Who has અક્ષય દર વખતે આપણે ઓનલાઈનમાં વાત નથી કરવાની, મેસેજ આવે ત્યારે એમાં લખવાનું પ્રેઝન્ટ. ઓકે,
But I cannot able to sending a message, ma'am. That's why.
okay. Krupal and Kunal. Okay, we are done with the session. You can leave. Have a good day. Thank you.